So my word for the year is audacity, and it means that Lady O is going to have the audacity to do something audacious every day. This is my solo episode, and I'm having the audacity to put it out regardless to if I like it or not, if it is, if I'm rambling or not, if the quality is good or not. I'm getting better every day, and I will have the audacity to do so. I hope you enjoy. And remember, I believe that the fastest way to understanding is by listening. So I hope you listen. Welcome back to the Better People Podcast. And as you know, it is my goal to create spaces where people can come and share their stories. And maybe by listening, you become a better person. And I've said this before that the podcast isn't simply about having people on here who are better, although I think all of them are better. But that's not necessarily the reason why they're here. They're here to help you hear their story. They're here to put their story out in these streets so that you might have a better perspective. So, welcome to the Better People Podcast. My name is Oshiri Haygood. My friends call me Lady O. And I developed this podcast because I wanted to give people an opportunity to share their stories. So many times I've listened to people's perspectives about other people, and they've never encountered these people. Most of their information comes from the news media or experiences of the past, maybe their parents' experience, their siblings' experience, but it hasn't been up close and personal. And although this isn't about race, but I understand this very well because of it. So I was raised in the Nation of Islam, and my father and mother were what you would deem pro-Black today. Although we didn't call it pro-Black, at least that wasn't in my hearing. But being proud to be a Black person was how I was raised. I mean, I was so sheltered from the real world in a sense. Not that they were trying to shelter me, but I was sheltered in this sense. Um, I would hear, Black people be called the minority all the time. It made no sense to me. I said, the minority? We're everywhere. So it just made no sense to me. Anyway, all of that to say that I was raised in a Black world right here in Los Angeles, California. And so my lens, my perspective, my understanding of people came through that. And so when I stepped outside of the community, which didn't, which was, as soon as I was an adult, I became a legal secretary and started working in downtown LA. So I would encounter people all the time that were not Black. And then I would return, to my community. And so, but when I started to engage Christians, white Christians in particular, I started to understand things completely differently. And in part because, when you go to work every day and you're engaging people from other cultures from work, you're there to do work. You're not necessarily there to change each other's lives. You're there to get a job done. And so you're engaging each other from that perspective. In Christendom, especially from my perspective, I was there to not only be change, but to help to produce change as well. And so that's how I came to learn that everybody sees things differently. And so I think my first experience was one that's coming to mind right now, but it wasn't the one I was thinking of. My first experience, well, I'll tell you this. I went to a white church, and this goes to show you how limited your lens can be. I remember going to a church out in the valley, and I saw it was predominantly white, And I saw, you know, a couple of people raising their hands in praise. And my thought was, as silly as it sounds, I was like, oh, wow, white people love Jesus too. And I mean, when you think about that thought, it's so narrow, right? And, but it was truly, you know, what I thought. So, and I was impressed, you know, and I was, it was something that hit me, you know, at my core in an interesting way. Now, is that crazy sounding now? Contextually, yes, but that's how I picked it up. And I was a full blown adult with children. So, additionally, well, so then all of this to say is that I came into this space and I have, so my heart has always been for people. And so when I started engaging different cultures, I started to learn because I'm inquisitive. It's probably why I even like doing the podcast and interviewing people. But because I'm inquisitive, I just, you know, would ask different questions. And I mean, one of the, I didn't know, I had no idea that um, I learned that white people thought that Black women were um, sex workers, they're prostitutes. Um, what? It's just like, okay, but the context being America, okay? Again, okay. I said, wait, what? Imagine this little Black girl just walking around being herself, and the majority of people are thinking anywhere near that. Okay. Okay. You know, you learn something new every day. Um, I also learned that um, people can go their entire life and never encounter another culture. 75% of Americans can go their entire lives and never encounter another culture. And if they do encounter another culture, it is at work or it is at a place where they're coming to be served. I thought that was interesting. You know, I thought that was very interesting. And I mean, so many thoughts are coming to my mind right now as I think about this. I mean, anyway, my brain will go on a tangent. Anyway, I don't know if you guys know, this is my solo episode. Why? Because my friends who told me they wanted to be on my podcast have not booked. Now, I do have some booked. I'm very grateful for you guys who decided to get on my calendar. But there are plenty of other people who said that they would love to be on my podcast, who want to hit that link and book. So, because my word for the year is audacity, which is Lady O doing audacious things or having the audacity to do something audacious every day, I'm in here today, solo, solo, solo. And so I figured I'd share with you why I wanted to start this podcast. Um, Let me see. What have I learned so far as it relates to trying to get these episodes recorded? I have learned that editing is a very difficult thing to do if you're trying to get a video out um, as soon as possible. I also learned it ain't that big of a deal. People want content, they want information. And so um, I also learned that, you know, I like for it to stay real. And so I'm sure I've learned more things than that. I learned that I need to bring. I learned that I need to bring my stand when I'm away trying to do a podcast because I'm here in Riverside, California, um, on a little. My husband is preaching this morning, and so I'm here in Riverside, California, and I forgot to bring my holder. Anyway, you're sitting on top of my computer, and so what? Oh, so what? Why? Because I have the audacity to get this done no matter what. Okay, so I did have some questions here for myself that I may or may not answer, but let's take a look. Um, Something I used to believe that I know that no longer fits. Wow, that just changes all the time. Something that I used to believe that no longer fits. Um, Let me see. I used to believe I used to believe that, the world was actually going to be different, that it could be different, that some of the things that I would do or ways that I would help or perspectives that I could bring or other perspectives that people would bring, that it would actually change the world. I no longer believe that. Attention you're currently holding, faith, leadership, body, breath, boundaries, visibility. What's the tension that I am currently holding? I don't think I'm holding any tension, at least not right now as I'm thinking about it. Um, what you're unlearning, what am I unlearning? Um, I used to believe that more things matter than they actually do. Um, I was at church a couple of weeks back, and the pastor showed the video of the cosmic eye. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, you can look that up on YouTube. And what the cosmic eye did was it zoned out from the woman's eye and it went all the way out into the observable universe. And it pulled all the way back. Um, and it even went beyond the Milky Way galaxy. And if any of you know, the Earth is tucked away inside the Milky Way galaxy. The galaxy has all of there's a solar system that is running inside of this thing here, and um, we are just one of millions of galaxies, and the Earth is tucked away in there. I say tucked away because if you pull back enough, you can't even see it. And I thought, you can't move a finger to stop that system from running. You can't do anything to stop that system from running because the system is doing what the system does. And so I used to believe, well, wait, what's the question? I brought that up because what I'm unlearning is that the system that's at play, and when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about the universe. When you think about how big it is, you recognize how small you are. And I'm unlearning that what I do is going to turn that galaxy that's spinning around in a different direction. It's not. I'm here to learn something. And so I'm unlearning that it's always about impact. And I'm learning that for me, it's more about learning. Does that sound crazy? Unlearning, learning, 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 learning. But that is what I am unlearning. Okay. Um, Excuse me. Okay. The version of you who thought holding it together was fake. OMG, let me tell you something. Y'all know what it is. So I was handed the Holy Bible and was given all the authority in the world to ensure that every single person I ever encountered believed the same thing that I believed in the way that I believed it. Okay. So I became a Christian officially in the Church of Christ. And I say officially because as a child, like I said, I was in the Nation of Islam. My friend down the street would invite me to church, and because they had warm donuts at the end of church, I made sure that I was present for that. But I became very interested in understanding God while being in the Catholic Church, and so I learned a lot there. I wasn't baptized in the Catholic Church, but I did go to Catholic school, learned a lot more. And then after that, along my long, wild journey that I'll get into maybe another time, a friend of mine's, um, who was my boyfriend at the time, mother invited me to church. And although I was baptized then, I really didn't understand what it was that I was doing. There was some changes that happened at that point, but I knew that I wasn't really understanding what I was doing. And so I understood that after I officially became a Christian uh, as a part of the Church of Christ. And so when I say that I received the Bible, the Holy Bible, and people had to believe it like I believed it, it had to be based on what I had learned. Okay. I'm telling you, I said I was taught the scripture, taught how to teach the scripture, how to study the scripture. And so I was pretty much set on my thinking is the right way. You got to do it the way I said because I've been taught how to understand this, and therefore I'm right, and I got to bring you over to rightness. Um, yeah, so I'm no longer holding that. You know, um, when you understand, when I came to the understanding of how big things are, how big the world is, and understanding or step back and acknowledged that people have different perspectives, and that perspective impacts the way that they read scripture. That changed everything for me. So the version of you, me, who over explained, overserved, and overbreathed. That person I was just talking about. The version of you who confused endurance with obedience. Oh, for sure, I did that. I absolutely did that. Subconsciously, though. I mean, my statement used to be, if I could do it, you could do it. And I understand that that's not true now. Not just because I can do so much, because again, we're all different people, and life is completely different. Okay, what's another question here? Some of these questions are redundant. Mm, this one says, um, why I'm more careful with my yes. Yes. Oh my goodness, life is so different for me now. And listen, the way that I live life now is I'm not trying to walk in straight lines. I'm actually just trying to experience the world. And it has truly been an amazing journey for me, along the same lines of the Better People podcast. I'm growing in my understanding of people, their mission, their way, their views, their perspectives, their visions, their hopes, their dreams, their upbringing. And, a lot of it is similar, but it's the little bitty pieces. It's the area where there's nuance that changes a lot. You can be walking in the same direction together, but someone can look over to the right and their attention is caught and they're moving subtly in a completely different direction. So, all of that to say, why am I more careful about my yes? I'm more careful. I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't say I'm more careful about my yes, but if I had to touch on discernment versus availability, I don't know what today is going to bring. I don't even know what's coming out of my mouth at this moment. But in the past, everything I had to make sure everyone saw things a certain way because the end goal for them that I was trying to get them to was at stake. What a God complex. Oh my goodness. What a God complex. What a God complex. I'll just say that. Oh my goodness. I have nothing to do. I have very little to do with anyone else's life. I have so much to do with mine. Even with my children. I was telling my daughter the other day, she said, Mom, she said something about not having kids. And we were having a discussion about not having kids. And I said, yeah, I don't have any kids. And she says, Mom, you always have children. I said, no, I know people that I used to raise, okay? Because I don't have any power or control, neither was I ever supposed to think that I did, over my children. And I say my children just simply because I raised them, but I don't have any control over them. And so I used to think that, anyway, all of that to say, I can't control anything. Uh, I don't know what's going to happen minute by minute. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I'm open for that now. I'm completely open for the possibility that anything could occur. And I'm trying to pick up my lessons every day. So that's one of my goals for this year is to learn something every day. Write down a lesson that I learned every day, and by the end of the year, I should have 365 lessons. Okay. Um, so I'm no longer kind of leaning into discernment as much as I am being open and available. So availability is the way that I live. Um, and so this is kind of going into a different direction. But the question I'm looking at here is why access is not the same as intimacy. Um, Yeah, I can get back to that question on another one. How wisdom has slowed you down but deepened you. Oh my goodness. Similar to what I was just saying a minute ago. I work just as hard every single day, um, but it's not with a monkey on my back. It is completely understanding that my presence here on the earth um, is about me becoming more like God. And remind me, you tell me, when's the last time God was controlling? I don't know God like that. Okay. Um, I've already shared what better people already mean, what it means to me. What this podcast is not trying to do, it's not bringing on better people. It's bringing on people to help you become a better person. Um, by listening to journeys matter more than agreeing with conclusions. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, I know I'm going to say the same thing that I just said a minute ago. I have friends who were raised in very small towns and medium sized town, big cities, well, bigger cities than those towns. And then obviously people who live in what are these called? Oh my goodness, the word is slipping my mind. Oof, I can't. L.A., New York, places where everyone lives, and If you're raised in a town of 2,000 people, you're not going to have the same mindset of a person who's raised in a city of 2 million. Um, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I am saying that the conclusions that these two people will come to will be vastly different. Um, and and I don't want to deem anyone better than the other, anyone more right than the other, but I want to listen from that perspective. And so I don't have to have the same conclusions that a person who was raised differently than me has. I mean, obviously, it's going to be different. Like I said, I am a Black woman in America. I have a completely different, my lens is completely different from someone who is raised a Latina in America or a white person in America or an African in America. It's so different, completely different, or a Haitian in America. My children have helped me so much to understand all of the different views, the different lens. Like my daughter is from Haiti, my son is from Ethiopia. I have a daughter who is of mixed race, meaning her father is white and her mother is Black. Can you imagine the different perspectives that exist in a family? And these children were raised by a person who used to be in the Nation of Islam and became a Christian and a woman leader in a male dominated space. I mean, can you imagine? Listen, our conclusions are going to be different. They're going to be different. And so I'm open to hear it. I love to watch a person's journey. I love to see what's happening in their eyes when they're talking about what they believe or their experiences. And so um, that's why listening for me is so huge. So, all of that, I think I'm going to close out now because I had the audacity to do this podcast, this solo episode by myself. But I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm Oshri Haygood, married to Rudy Haygood. We raised 7 children and we have many, many grandkids. I am obviously the host of the Better People podcast. I am a breathwork facilitator. I am not the expert on all things breath, but I am a facilitator of experiences and I love that work. I have been a minister of the gospel for 30 years. I There's more. I'm a life coach. Come on, girl. I am a life coach. I've already said I'm a breathwork facilitator, and I am a marriage coach. And I enjoy every drop of my experiences while here on earth. And so that's a little bit about me. This is my solo episode, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to the Better People podcast. You've been listening to the Better People podcast. Please share this video and also subscribe. Remember, the fastest way to understanding is by listening.